I want you to think about those bees we all inevitably encounter somewhere. They move from one flower to another, and then we can't even see them anymore. We've probably witnessed this hundreds of times. That little flapping sound of wings comes. Then, a few seconds later, that black and yellow body appears and disappears as if nothing happened. But in fact, at that very moment, that second, they are engaged in a mission, a demanding, calculated, and completely deliberate mission. That seemingly ordinary scene is actually like a single point in a 24-hour symphony. Bees are actually involved in a never-ending logistical operation. Some strive to regulate the temperature of the hive. Others dance to transmit a newly learned route to thousands of bees, and some might be calculating the angle of the sun inside a flower right now. These aren't metaphors. These are real events. If you're seeing this channel for the first time, I'd like you to subscribe before you leave, because every video I'll publish on this channel has a perspective that will forever change the things you see every day. Watch this video until the end, because the last point I'll discuss will show how the survival method of a bee colony compares to the most advanced collective intelligence in the universe. So, if you're ready, we can begin our video. 1. Pre-flight calculations at dawn. In the morning, while the sun is still somewhere on the horizon, a decision-making process begins inside the hive. While worker bees crowd at the entrance of the hive, observer bees wait outside. They measure the heat, light, and wind. During this time, they aren't actually flying randomly as we might think. According to research, workers wait for the outside temperature to exceed a threshold of approximately 10 to 13 degrees before starting their flights, and only then do they begin to fly. Below this, their flight muscles don't work sufficiently. Therefore, this is quite important. So, if you haven't seen a bee on a cold morning, it doesn't mean laziness. It's actually energy optimization itself. But of course, dawn isn't just about temperature control. At the entrance of the hive, bees sniff each other, and during these brief moments of contact, chemical signals are exchanged. In other words, what happened in the hive that night, the state of various resources, is already circulating. Before a bee begins its flight, it receives a complete briefing, a wordless but comprehensive one. Moreover, the first to emerge from the hive are not chosen randomly. Experienced bees go first. Younger ones stay near the hive to measure the angle and direction of the sun. This can be likened to an internship. This insect, with its tiny wingspan, learns everything before flying. If the first flights in your garden become visible around midday, it's no coincidence. It means the biological meteorological station inside the hive is executing its decision. There's no control tower, not even a screen, just a launch protocol optimized over millions of years. And this morning, like every morning, it makes no mistakes or delays. 2. A sense of time. There's like a clock inside the bee. Imagine it's around noon. Your beautiful lavender in the garden is in bloom, and the sun is high in the sky. At precisely this time, as if a bell has rung, bees begin to concentrate on that flower. They weren't there half an hour ago, but they'll be fewer in number in another half hour. This isn't a coincidence. Bees have a real biological clock. According to research, this clock learns which flower secretes the most nectar at which time and stores that information in its memory. The bee can memorize not only the flower, but also its schedule. This is called the circadian rhythm. That is, biological timing locked into the cycle of the day. But the bee version goes a step further. A worker bee can separately code the nectar production of different plant species at different times. For example, linden at 8 in the morning, sunflower at noon, and clover at 4 in the afternoon. It follows this meticulously, like a diary. Moreover, it can transmit this information to other bees in the hive using a dance language. That is, the time information is shared like coordinates. The hive operates on a living and constantly updated timeline. If you notice the same density of bees on certain flowers at certain times in your garden, you're actually observing the workings of a biological calendar. It doesn't get there by chance. It knows very well that it needs to be there at that time. In a tiny brain, there is a program that works second by second. And this program has been working healthily for millions of years without any battery or screen. 3. In the afternoon, the body becomes overloaded. Generally speaking, a worker bee can carry up to 80% of its body weight in pollen and nectar in a single flight. To put this into perspective, if you carried 80% of your body weight and ran for an hour, you'd surpass the fatigue of someone who'd run a marathon. A bee does this more than once a day, by flying. And with each return, it unloads its burden and takes off again. It doesn't stop to rest, but to prepare for the next load. There's a fact that in the afternoon, when the air is hottest and the flowers are producing the most nectar, the activity outside the hive reaches its peak. During each of these flights, the bee uses the sun like a clock. It tracks the sun's movement and constantly updates its position. When the sun goes behind a cloud, the bees are able to navigate thanks to their sensitive structures that sense the magnetic field. Did you notice that sudden silence before the storm? The bees had retreated inside. They knew before your weather app. Now, there's also this situation. When you observe a single bee in your garden, you are essentially watching a biological GPS, a living dynamometer, and a natural barometer all working simultaneously. So many systems are active at the same time inside that small body. And the bee is unaware of any of this. It simply does. Perhaps this is its most efficient mode of operation, doing exactly what needs to be done without thinking, without doubting. 4. Evening. The hive's heat engine. Of course, as is normal, the sun is setting. The bees retreat inside. And now a completely different job begins inside the hive. A bee colony maintains the internal temperature of the hive at approximately 34 to 35 degrees Celsius. This number is important. This range is critical for the healthy development of the larvae. 1 degree more, 1 degree less. Both can be fatal for the larvae. So the hive is not just a nest, but a precisely regulated brood machine. There is also the fact that this temperature is maintained. Worker bees generate heat by vibrating their flight muscles without opening their wings. Only their muscles are working. Their bodies become heat sources. When the temperature rises, the opposite happens. The bees cool themselves by carrying water to the hive and evaporating it. It's a heating system and an air conditioner, one body, working simultaneously. If an engineer had tried to design this system, they would probably have created something far more complex and fragile. Bees arrived at the simplest solution millions of years ago and haven't changed it since. Now, let me also point out that if you stand in front of your hive in the evenings and listen, that buzzing will sound different to you now. It's not just a sound, it's the rhythm of a heat engine working, where thousands of muscles vibrate simultaneously, distinguishing temperature from temperature to temperature. It's getting colder outside. The hive remains stable, and when the sun rises in the morning, the young bees will wake up at exactly the right temperature. Tonight too, and tomorrow night too. 5. When night falls, collective intelligence and survival decisions are made. Here, I especially want to say that the hive is silent. The outside is motionless. But this silence is not empty. Inside, thousands of bees are simultaneously part of something. There is no leader. There is no central command. The queen bee produces, but doesn't manage. So how is it possible for thousands of bees to make the right decision at the same time? This question touches on the deepest point of bee biology, and the answer takes us to the limits of what we know. When it's time to swarm, that is, when the hive is about to divide, worker bees send out scouting parties for potential new nesting sites. These scouting bees return and dance. The bee that finds the best spot performs the longest and most enthusiastic dance. The other bees evaluate these dances and show which one they support by dancing themselves. Over time, one dance surpasses the others, support piles up on it, and the hive reaches a single decision. According to research, colonies almost always choose the objectively best location among the available options, without any ballot, without any pressure, just through the free competition of information. Scientists compare this process to the healthiest decision-making mechanisms in human democracy, and they say that bees often reach more consistent conclusions. Of course, I must also say this: stand in front of your beehive at night. There is silence inside. It is dark outside. But within that silence, thousands of decisions have accumulated, dozens of dances have been performed, hundreds of pieces of information have been weighed. No one gave orders. No one forced anything. Yet, when the sun rises in the morning, the hive will know exactly what to do. It has been like this for millions of years. It will be like this tonight, too. Inside that little box in your garden, right now, the world's oldest collective intelligence is awake. Essentially, we started this morning with a single bee disappearing from your garden. That single bee was actually part of a dawn calculation. Before noon, it danced, transmitted coordinates. In the afternoon, it carried almost its own body weight. In the evening, it returned to the hive and warmed it. And at night, along with thousands, it silently made a decision. One day, one bee, and so many layers. Especially remember this: that flight you thought was empty was actually full. That disappearance you saw in your garden was actually the only moment of a system visible to you. You have been living alongside it for years. Now you know. If we look at the event from a different angle, have you ever noticed a bee returning to the same flower repeatedly? Tell us about it in the comments, because that repetition isn't a coincidence. There's really something going on there. See you in the next video.